I know that by the time this video comes out, Christmas is already going to be long over, but it just wouldn't feel right for me to start the new year without mentioning my greatest discovery of the holiday season, Mixed Nuts, a 1994 dark comedy starring Steve Martin that is without a doubt the most underrated Christmas movie of all time that I've ever seen. I came across it randomly while scrolling through HBO Max. Since it was basically just an hour and a half, I decided to give it a watch and came away thinking that it was a pretty good holiday movie. What made me give it the high title that is the most underrated Christmas movie of all time is when I found out just how huge of a failure this movie was back in 1994. On an estimated budget of 20 million, Mixed Nuts only made a measly 6.8 million. Understandably, audiences weren't interested enough in the middle of the week leading up to Christmas. Yes, they decided to drop this on a Wednesday, December 21st, 1994. But at the very least, I expected to see the movie being looked back upon as an underrated gem. Surprisingly, though, that's not the case, as both audiences and critics of the past and present just seem to not like this film. I understand the criticism of the movie's overly hectic pace and characters, but with everything else, I just don't get it. Sure, the jokes aren't laugh out loud funny, but for the most part, they're well delivered and entertaining enough to make me chuckle every once in a while. What really makes this movie as good as it is, in my opinion, is the ensemble supporting cast. Rita Wilson, Madeline Kahn, Juliette Lewis, Anthony LaVaglia, Lee Schreiber makes his film debut here in full drag, and there's even memorable surprise appearances from Rob Reiner and Parker Posey. They all do a great job of selling the average at best material. As far as my problems with the movie, a small one for me would be that it isn't dark enough. With the description of it being a dark comedy everywhere that I looked, and the potential comedic gold of a premise involving self harm prevention workers in an out of control Christmas, I expected the material to be darker and better, but unfortunately it just wasn't. It doesn't ruin the movie for me, but it did bother me. My second and biggest issue with Mixed Nuts is Adam Sandler. Now, I usually like Adam Sandler more than most people, but for once I understand why some despise his style of comedy, because his character in this movie, Louis Capshaw, is unbearable. Everything involving him from start to finish was incredibly annoying and unfunny. I get that they needed someone to cheer up Lee Schreiber's character, but there's no excuse for that person to be this dumb and repulsive. Thankfully, he's just a small supporting character, but even the minuscule 8 to 10 minutes of screen time that he had was enough to put a huge damper on my viewing experience. With all of that said, though, I still like this movie a lot. Aside from it not reaching its full potential and the presence of a pre Happy Gilmore Adam Sandler, thanks to its great ensemble cast, Mixed Nuts is a pretty good choice to pass a quick hour and a half if you're in the Christmas spirit.